Am I the asshole? It was late last night, and I was walking home alone. The streets were quiet, the kind of quiet that makes you notice every little sound. Out of nowhere, a group of young women, around my age, appeared. Before I could even register what was happening, they started throwing eggs at me. I didn't know them, never seen them before, and I had no idea why they were targeting me. One egg missed by a mile. The second came closer, but I dodged it just in time. A third egg grazed past, and a fourth, well, that one was a terrible throw. Somehow, I caught it. In that moment, confused, humiliated, and furious, I reacted without thinking. The instinct kicked in. I threw the egg back as hard as I could, and it hit one of the women square in the face. A clean shot. You should know, I used to play baseball, so my arm isn't just for show. Immediately, the mood shifted. They started yelling at me, calling me a woman abuser, and all kinds of horrible names. I didn't stick around to argue. I bolted home, my heart pounding in my chest. When I got home and calmed down, the guilt started creeping in. Sure, they threw eggs at me, but I hit someone back, and not just anyone, a woman. A part of me thinks she deserved it. After all, she started it. But another part of me feels sick about the whole thing. I don't know. Should I have handled it differently? Does the fact that I'm a man mean I should have just walked away, no matter what? Or was I justified in standing up for myself? AITA reaction. Let's break this down step by step. Initial provocation. You were targeted by a group of strangers who attacked you unprovoked. Egg throwing may not seem dangerous, but it's still an assault. It's understandable that you felt angry and humiliated. Your reaction. Catching the egg and throwing it back was instinctual and happened in the heat of the moment. However, it wasn't an act of self-defense, as the group wasn't actively threatening you at that point. Instead, it was an act of retaliation driven by anger. Gender dynamics. The question of gender adds a layer of complexity. Society often places expectations on men to restrain themselves physically, particularly when interacting with women. While it's important to avoid violence in general, gender shouldn't excuse the behavior of the group that assaulted you. Moral responsibility. While you were provoked, throwing the egg back could escalate the situation or cause unnecessary harm. It's fair to feel conflicted, but it's also worth noting that they initiated the confrontation. Verdict: everyone sucks here. The group of women was undeniably in the wrong for targeting you and throwing eggs without provocation. That's harassment, plain and simple. However, your decision to retaliate, especially with such force, shifts some of the blame onto you. While your reaction was understandable in the heat of the moment, it wasn't the most constructive or safest choice. Advice from AITA reflect, but don't beat yourself up. Your reaction wasn't premeditated, and you were responding to an unexpected assault. Recognize where you could have handled things better, but don't let guilt consume you. Prioritize de-escalation in the future. If something similar happens, try to remove yourself from the situation without retaliation. Even if provoked, escalation can lead to greater harm for all parties. Consider reporting the incident. If this group is harassing people in the area, it might be worth notifying local authorities. They were clearly targeting you without cause, and others may be at risk. Remember, nobody's perfect in moments of shock and anger. Learn from the experience and use it to guide your actions moving forward.